This is really great. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you, Linda Burnham, and thank you all the folks connected with MICA. I am a proud resident of Old Town. When I moved here, or was moving here, people said, well, you have to live in East Lansing, you know, come out with us. And I said, and I looked around and I said, well, no, I'm a city boy, and I like looking at abandoned buildings and railroad tracks. And of course, directly outside my bedroom now are these loudspeakers for all the wonderful music festivals that we have here. Which is great. You know, we all need weekends away, and that's when I take them. No, I'm only kidding. No, I'm here, I'm on the stoop, I'm cheering you. Tell me the dates again, I want to make sure. Anyway, I really am a proud resident of Old Town, and I'm leasing, and I just signed another year's worth of lease, and I'll just talk about my life here in Old Town. So, no, I'm renting a furnished place, actually, and I decided, well, you know, it's time to really move in. So next week, the guys who own the place are removing their furniture, and my stuff is coming in. So, all right. And we're going to have some parties. We're going to have parties. Okay, what are we here to talk about? The Broad Art Museum. You know, this is a great moment, I think, for certainly those of us who are involved with it, but we hope that it is a great moment for the region. We do, as Terry said, envision an internationally significant museum. When I was approached about this job, I personally felt that the job description really had been ripped out of my own personal diaries. The university said they were looking for someone who really wanted to help build a world-class international museum. And I said, when I accepted the job, I said, look, if this is really what you want, this is what I want, so let's do it. And I'll tell you, quite honestly, from my heart, that this university here, Michigan State University, is truly one of the most extraordinary places I've ever experienced, with a genuine international and global reach, to the extent that, truly, we should be so proud. If there's one thing I feel that the university has been lacking in, it's in proclaiming the really amazing and interesting things that go on there. And not just that go on there, but that emanate from there, including things like doing really interesting land reform in the Philippines. You know, these are the examples that I mentioned often, in water supply in Malawi, and any number of things in almost every country around the world. So what is the Broad Art Museum? What do we hope it to be? We hope this museum, we want this museum, we are working for this museum to be the cultural arm of this first-class, globally significant university. So we are going to be, in our new amazing home on Grand River, we are going to be the place for cultural production and cultural vision in this amazing corporation and engine that is Michigan State University. First, before I tell you a little bit more about the vision, I want to, of all the things that I would, and I can't take, you know, full responsibility for this, although maybe I can in some ways, is that I'm proudest of the people who have come to join us here. So I'll talk about you, but please, my colleagues at the Broad Art Museum, please stand up and say hello to everybody, and then I'll talk about you individually as well. This is our Deputy Director, Min Jung Kim. Min Jung comes to us from the Guggenheim Museum. Wow. After many years working in international projects there, a great deal of experience, very charming and warm person whom I'm sure you will all enjoy meeting. Jason Myers is in the back here. Jason is he's a local guy who we met at some bar, I don't remember. And I said, do you want to work with us? He said, yes. And I said, well, what is it that you do? It was Dusty's, actually. Jason is really a first-rate, he's our Director of Communications, a first-rate writer and connector. We're thrilled to have him with us. Rachel Vargas, who is here, is our registrar. Rachel comes to us from the Kresge Art Museum at Michigan State University, and prior to that, the Harvard Art Museums. She's such a terrific registrar. And, you know, I joked, and I'm sure Rachel remembers this and will probably outlive me. Well, she'll definitely outlive me in the world. But I remember saying during the interview, she said, you know, really the most important job in any museum is the registrar. Directors come and go, but the registrar is the most important person. So Rachel, I bow to you. Don't mess with me. I'm kidding. Jane Gedicke is here. Jane's an amazing person. She's crazy, but wonderful, and I adore her. And she came out of the Museum Studies program at Michigan State University. And did we ever tell you this? This is a true story. You probably know this. Anyway, we were interviewing for she was interviewing for another job. And it was down to 2 candidates, and we chose the other candidate who's no longer with the museum. But I said to my superiors there, I said, you know, this girl, she's really got something. We've got to hire her, but there's no job, but we'll create a job. So we created a job for Jane, and she is totally kick-ass. And then there's Allison Gass, who is our curator. She's brilliant and wonderful and fun-loving, and she's going to talk to you for a few minutes after I shut up, if I do, which I will. Allison comes to us from the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art. Ooh, yeah. And she has just hooked us up with our, as of yesterday, newly hired Director of Education, who will be coming in a couple of weeks, also from the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art. So, is there anybody else here? I don't think so. Everybody's here that I've talked about. Plus, you know, a slew of other people who are just really fantastic, who are going to help us create a visionary atmosphere that will do several things. But first of all, the most important thing, which I've alluded to already, is that we intend primarily to bring the best of international artistic production to the museum. And one thing that I like to say, particularly to arts groups, you know, museums, no matter where they are fundamentally supported, morally supported, and daily attendance supported by the arts community. And so we count on you to become a part of us, to become members, to visit us, to engage with us, to come to our programs, as I know many of you have been. I mean, we've been very actively programming for quite some time now, actually, as you know. And we are hoping that you will appreciate the fact that our gift to you, in a sense, is to really elevate the entire artistic conversation here by presenting the best of international art production. I remember, you know, I say this example as an artist in New York. I was a theater artist in New York for several years, and I mean, this was New York, for God's sakes, but if it hadn't been for the Brooklyn Academy of Music, the PepsiCo Summer Festival, which no longer exists, and the Lincoln Center Summer Festival, like those 3 places, none of which was full-time. By Brooklyn Academy, I'm talking about the Next Wave Festival. If it hadn't been for those places, I, as an experimental theater artist, would not have been exposed to the best in experimental theater in New York. So anywhere that it happens, that you have an institution that wants to present to you the best, at least in our estimation, of what's happening in the contemporary scene, it's something worth supporting, if you're an artist especially. It will change your own conversation with yourself. It will change the nature of your work. I'm not saying you will change exactly what you do, but you will be informed by what you see. That's our hope. The second thing is, which is very important, and Ali will talk about 3 and 4 and 5 other things that we'll be doing, but is that we have had the great privilege of inheriting the art collection of the Kresge Art Museum. So what this will allow us to do is to present and create dialogues with contemporary art with a very long view back in art history. The really wonderful teaching collection of the Kresge Art Museum goes back, as you know, to Greek and Roman art, pre-Columbian art, through medieval, Renaissance, up to the contemporary. And you will always see, whenever you visit the museum, you will see prime examples from this collection in dialogue with contemporary art that will be borrowed or wherever we curate it from. And we are one of the only, if not really the only museum in this country that can do that. Because any self-identified contemporary art museum, which we are, by definition doesn't have an historic collection. MoMA doesn't have an historic collection. I'm not saying we're MoMA, don't get me wrong, I'm not being that grandiose. But what I am saying is that we have this opportunity to contextualize contemporary art in a way that virtually no one else does. So that's another piece of pride for you, hopefully. And those of you who may worry, one of the major things I had to deal with, and it's over, and I'm not going to talk about it, except I am going to talk about it a little, one sentence, that there was a contingent of people who really thought that we were dumping the Kresge collection in the Grand River somehow, and that it was never going to be seen again. That is completely not true. The Kresge collection will be fully alive and incorporated into the Broad Museum collection, and you will see it. Not in specific galleries the way you're used to it, but in much more dynamic ways, I think. Ways that create a living. As people of our time, and we're born in the times that we are born in, and we live when we live. And I personally, as someone devoted to the contemporary, believe that we need constantly to engage our current moment, even with this long gaze back into the historical. Because there's no point in just living in the past. There is no point. And clearly, to have this ability to generate interest, excitement, dialogue, discussion, conflict, even in the presentations that we give through contextualizing this collection, it's going to be tremendously exciting. And we're also going to be, and Ali will speak a little bit more about this now, navigating the university in a major way, because there is no intellectual pursuit that is not being addressed by some artist somewhere in the contemporary world. That's a bit of a double negative, I understand, but you're going to be seeing us, as you have already, working with agriculture, forestry, physics, mathematics, philosophy, through the gaze of artists. And I want to introduce now our curator of contemporary art, and I'll come back and I'll take a Q&A after Ali speaks a little bit to us. This is Alison Gass.